So if I'm not wrong, it was around my second semester, and I decided to go for a master's pretty early on. So that gave me a lot of time to prepare for my GRE, TOEFL, get my profile like to a certain level, write papers and do all those things. So I would say that starting early is definitely beneficial. But yeah, then I think largely due to COVID, since we were all at home, that gave a lot of time to explore different domains as well. And I think that is very important to do when you are in undergrad. Like for me, at least, I was not sure what I wanted to do later on. So those 4 years gave me a lot of chance to get my hands dirty in different domains and see if I like it or not. Uh, yeah, but I would say that if you plan on going for masters, you should uh, make that decision at least 1 year prior to when you are going to apply, because the application process is very large and you need a lot of stuff. You need to get done with those exams, filter out colleges, make your SOPs, have your LORs ready, and then apply. So having some time to do all that uh, helps a lot. And yeah, so after my undergrad, I went to Georgia Tech to do my master's in computer science, and I specialized in machine learning there. And my time at Tech was really great. Got to learn a lot, do a lot of stuff. And grad school is pretty hectic because you have to spend time finding jobs and internships. You have to take courses at the same time, do some research, and moving to a different country is always a challenge. So, dabbling with all that was difficult but yet interesting. And uh, as Vatsal said, I had interned at Cisco during my master's, and I worked on cloud projects, cloud plus ML kind of stuff, where we were building uh, security tools for Kubernetes. And then for my full-time job, I am currently working at ServiceNow as a research scientist, and we are building general purpose large language models. Yeah.
Oh, great.
Okay,
So,
so I
uh,
just had one question. So, so you said you did your master's from Georgia Tech, right? And that too in computer science. So I heard that they don't give out a lot of, I mean, degrees of computer science to a lot of people in our college as well. They got computer science and engineering. So, like, even without WorkX, how do you, what help you, secure that degree instead of an CSE?
So I guess, yeah, you are right that I think during our time it was even more difficult. I think for our seniors it was just one admit from DJ to Georgia Tech. For my year, there were two admits, and I think, as far as I know from my junior batches, there have been even more admits. So I think the number is growing. But to answer your question, I think for me, what worked was research. I had a lot of good papers in my undergrad, and I had also collaborated with profs from Canada and US during my undergrad. And I fortunately published two papers at a very good conference, so I think that helped a lot. And I
Okay.
also used to reach out to professors from Georgia Tech, like even before applying. So during my applications, what I did was for half of my colleges, I applied for the PhD program, and for the other half, I applied for the master's program. So I used to reach out to professors, see if they have some space in their lab and they are willing to take on new students. So what happens in many of the colleges is that professors actually see the resumes and SOPs and LORs, and they decide if they want to admit you or not. And they are largely interested in doing research. So having a research profile helps there. But having said that, I think there are a few colleges where you don't need research as well. So when you are applying and shortlisting your colleges, I would highly recommend reaching out to seniors or anyone on LinkedIn and seeing if their college is, more focused on research or in the work X direction. Yeah.
So like to to build on that one point that you said, you approach professors for to check your resumes. So you can compare it to how the job referrals work, right? So you approach people in that industry to give you a referral in that company. So it's similar to how professors can recommend you in their university. So is that the correct correlation kind of?
Yeah, actually, when you approach professors, it's like you don't have to say that I want an admit or something like that. Instead, you have to show interest in their research and you have to ask if they would like to collaborate with you and you would like to work with them. So, if they are interested in it, they will just pass on your resume to whoever is admitting students in their college, and then your chances of getting an admit increases a lot. But this can go both ways. If you approach a professor and let's say you have not done your research and you just send out your resume and say that I want an admit, can you help me, something on that lines, then it can work against you as well. Like they get a lot of emails every day, like hundreds of them. So you have to be creative and do your research. And if you uh, target the right things, only then they'll reply. I think I had emailed like hundreds of professors, and the reply rate was around 2 to 3%. So it's a lot of hard
Okay.
work, but people usually do it for PhD applications and for research-based master's universities. You don't need to do that if you are going to apply for a more, traditional MSCS program, which is not focused on research.
Okay, got it.
Alright. So I also wanted to ask a question. Like you said, you approached professors in US and in Canada as well. So like the scenario over there also was similar, like in Georgia Tech, like 2 to 3% acceptance replies were minimal.
So it's a funny story actually. During my undergrad, I used to be a part of a lot of machine learning groups, online groups where people from around the world they just have a reading group or a study group where they discuss papers and ideas. So I was a part of that, and I had written a paper along with a friend. And so what I thought was I will get someone from that group to review it before I submit it to a conference. And we texted him on I think Twitter. Yeah, we texted him on Twitter and he replied to it. And after going through the paper, he was like, the idea seems really good, and I think if I rewrite it, it would get accepted to a very good conference. So that is how like I started collaborating with him. And I think that helped a lot because the kind of resources that are available in DJ Sangvi, at least at our time, weren't great. So for mentorship, if you work with someone, uh, maybe in Canada or US or any other country, you get to learn a lot. You have a lot of resources to first conduct the experiments, and the kind of advice that they give is really great. Um, so I think like we don't lack the skills to do good research, but just the advice and the right mentorship is required since like when we start, we are just new to the domain, right? So it gets very difficult to read hundreds and thousands of papers and then decide what has to be done. And if you have someone who is advising you who has already done that for you, it is very useful and yeah, it really helps. So I would highly recommend if anyone is interested in research, you guys should reach out to people, join groups. There are a lot of groups as well, so you can join those and you get to meet a lot of profs. Even professors are part of those groups sometimes, and people from the industry, they are also a part of that. So it really helps.
Could you actually give us some examples of this group so that we can also share it with our juniors? And personally, I would also like to join a few of these groups.
Yeah, I think I have a list somewhere. I can
Yeah, that'd be great.
share it with you after the meeting, if that's fine.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, it's fine.
So I had another question, and it's like so like you're research oriented and you are research oriented since you're undergrad, right? So to talk about
Yeah.
a lot of population in our college right now, a lot of people in second or third year probably they don't have a lot of research background or a lot of papers. So they all often have this issue or like a doubt whether we should apply for masters if we don't have question research papers because like DJMA it's like a stigma or something. I don't know it's but it is like you need to have a lot of research papers for conferences, journal and all. So like what opinion do you have on people who like are not that much interested in research, but they want to use like applied fields or software development. So for them to approach these professors, like how would you go about that?
So I think this comes from having something, when people see your resumes while applying for masters, they will try to find something which differentiates you from the crowd. And since like DJ, like for example, if you are from IIT Bombay, that is always a differentiating factor. And then you don't need a lot of things on your profile to prove yourself that you are a good candidate. But if you are from Mumbai University or some of the lesser known colleges, then you have to kind of prove yourself. So for that, people usually say that having a lot of papers, or I would say that having good papers, even if they are less in quantity, is better than having a lot of papers, but that is just a differentiating factor. Other things could be like contributing to open source projects. And yeah, what I'm trying to say is that you don't need research, but you need some differentiating factor in your profile, and that really helps. So that difference, you should also be smart about that because something might be very useful when you look at it, but you have to see it from the eyes of people who are going to review your profile. Do they know, like if you are working with some company, do they know that company, or will they just think it's some small startup somewhere in India? Things like that are really important. So you have to spend some time and then put your efforts into it.
Got it.
I will just read the question we received in chat. Like, is it true that universities prefer a student with more research and than a student with internship experience and no research?
It depends from university to university. There are a few universities who are very research oriented. For example, the CMU MSCS program, uh, University of Maryland MSCS. So there are some programs where you typically work with an advisor. So those kind of programs prefer more research experience, but most of the other programs are which are traditional MSCS programs don't require a lot of research. They judge you from the other things that you have done, like your internship experience or some projects that you might have done in your undergrad and those things. Personally, I would say that Unicode also helped me a lot in building my profile as to I started my coding journey with Unicode, and then I got to do a lot of projects which I could showcase. So you can write about those things as well, apart from your internship experience, because here, at least in US, they value a lot. Uh, like if you have some extracurricular activities alongside your coursework. So, uh, like I would say that try to contribute as much as possible to maybe Unicode or any other organization that you want to work with. That would help too.
Another question that we had was how can a second year or a third year guy get a research internship in India or abroad? Like, what's the process or proven way to get a research internship?
If you're looking for a research internship in India, I think there is a GitHub repo. I can share the link to that as well. It has a lot of programs from different IITs, and they have a traditional application process where you fill in all the details, and then they'll reach out to you if they like your profile. So that is how you can apply to research internships in India. Other ways to just contact profs. That is true for uh, India as well as US or any other country. But the reply rate is very less. So uh, you need to do your research and reach out to a lot of professors. Other One other option is to uh, join these groups that I mentioned before and talk to people there. So I think your seniors can also help you out there if they know that a professor is hiring a research intern and you seem to have the right set of skills, they can recommend you to the professor.
Okay, so there are four questions coming in. So I'll just read it. Does it help having a research background help us in our placements? Like research background helps in placements.
As far as I know, it won't help much. This is true even when you are applying for jobs from after your MS. So typically, if your job is not related to research, they will not care about what papers you have written. I also remember removing all my papers when I was applying to SWE roles after my master's. But yeah, I think uh, research would not be very important if you are just applying to the industry for some non-research positions.
Okay, great. So another one was how did you build up your skills in coding through college and how did you figure out between web dev and ML as there are a lot of options currently present for everyone.
So during my second semester, I remember a few of my seniors from Unicode. They visited our college and they were the ones who literally like shouted in the class saying that you guys should start coding now. It's high time. So that is how most of my friends and I started coding. And I started from front end because that seemed to be the easiest of the lot. Like I could see stuff happening if I change something in the code. So I started with front end, then I moved to back end, then I moved to app design, and then I moved to ML. So I kind of explored all the domains initially, and then I liked machine learning the most. So I started going into depth into different topics in machine learning like NLP, computer vision, all those things. And out of that, I found NLP really interesting. So then I took up a domain which was federated learning inside NLP, and I just started working on that. So I think it's really important to first explore the width before going into the depth because only then you will know if you like something or not. And I would say just start with whatever you find interesting and uh, just feel free to switch domains whenever you get bored.
Yes, I guess everyone in Unicode over here would agree that the seniors used to come in class and just shout like join Unicode and we basically my journey also started the same way. In Unicode also whoever are there, mostly everyone's journey started the same way.
Yeah, I think back when we were there, Unicode was only like a couple of years or 3 years old. So there weren't many people in Unicode, but still it was just a senior junior relationship where seniors would just come to the class. And I remember the first question they asked us. They asked us to raise our hands if we wanted to go to some IIT, but we couldn't. And like almost 80% of students raised their hands and they're like, okay, we wanted to do the same. And we were all in the mindset when we joined DJ that like we wanted to go to an IIT, we couldn't. So now, okay, it's done. Now we can't do anything with our lives. But then those seniors came in, they said that they were in the same situation. And then now they had some fancy master's degree from Columbia and MIT and all those places. And they were working at companies like FAN doing amazing work. So that gave us a confidence that maybe if we work hard through our Unicode, through our bachelor years, then we could be at the same position. And they like we were very fortunate that they helped us a lot. I remember one of our seniors who is also the person who started Unicode, if you guys know Swapnil Mehta. So he actually spent time 1 hour every week. He used to take lectures for the 4 or 5 of us who were really interested in machine learning. He used to teach us statistics. We had a study group where we used to read chapters throughout the week and then discuss the problems and how to solve them and those kind of things. So I think you just have to ask people are willing to help out. I think Swapnil, he also works with a lot of folks from undergrad, if I'm not wrong. So yeah,
Yes, like I guess many of us have already worked with him over here. So yes, another question was, how did you build up your skill? I asked. Is master's degree valued as highly in Indian job market as it is in US job market?
I guess not, unless you are doing your master's from a very renowned university, like let's say Stanford, Berkeley, or someplace which is well known in India as well. But here, if you see, most of the people who are interviewing you will judge you based on your master's program and where did you go to school from. So it matters a lot here, but I think it does not matter in India. Like if you plan on returning to India after your master's degree, I think you should focus more on the skills you learned during your master's rather than the university name, unless obviously if it's like top 5 universities, then everyone in India would also value that. But not many people know all the other universities. So
Okay, great. And if there are many questions, I'll just ask. What are the main points to do for a first year guy who wants to go for masters, like focus on CGPA or co-curricular or research?
So I would say that it depends on you and your interests. If you are interested in research, you should take up that. But that's the hard route, I would say, uh, because like research, like not everyone likes research, and it is very difficult to do good research in your undergrad unless you have good mentorship. And regarding CGPA, I would say that try to maintain a good CGPA, but I would not try to over optimize on it. At least during our years, CGPA was not very important, at least from a master's perspective. Having said that, like having a very low CGPA would hurt too. So you would ideally like to try to be in the middle. And for masters, when you are applying, no one knows what factors are being considered and how important each factor is. So it's better to, be good at all the factors and not give the person who is reviewing your resume a chance to reject you based on a particular factor. So you should not try to over optimize on a on some factor, but also try to not degrade on any factors like CGPA or those things. Try to be in the middle or do as well as you can in all the sectors.
Okay. Another one is, what all should you do in your third year to strengthen your application for masters, and do hackathons matter in applications?
Uh, for hackathons, I think if you have won some hackathon, then it would be really cool to show it on your resume. And definitely hackathons give you a lot of perspective and it develops a different kind of skill sets. Like you have to come up with something in just a day and then also think about how you are going to sell it. So I used to take part in a lot of hackathons when I was in undergrad, and that helped a lot in building certain skills. Uh, But yeah, for master's perspective, I think just writing that I participated in some 50 hackathons won't help. But if you have won or done a cool project at a hackathon, showcasing that would help. Did I answer the question?
Yes, I guess they have answered. Okay. Another one was how to get into top places for masters, that is CMU, MIT. The competition is too much. How to actually be different from most people.
I think for colleges like CMU, the competition is insane, and you have to be smart about how you apply. Because if you look at MSCS admits, like no one comes to my mind who went to CMU MSCS from, let's say, Mumbai University. So they kind of over optimize on the undergrad college you have been to. They will give only admits to people from IIT Bombay or IIT Madras or some of those places. So when you are applying, you also have to see all that and pick your degree wisely. There are other programs in CMU where you can get an admit easily, and then you can take the same courses that you could have taken if you got an admit from MSCS. So, yeah, I would say if you want to cut down on competition, choose your programs wisely and have something in your profile that differentiates you from everyone else. Like, let's say, I'm, I don't think they give out ranks in Mumbai University, but earlier they used to. So if you have like a rank one out of some 100,000 students in Mumbai University, then that is a differentiating factor, right? So having those kind of things really help. Your LORs also matter a lot, and who they come from also matters. So if someone who is respected in the community vouches for you and says that you are the best student they have had in the last 5 years or something like that, then people here value that a lot. So they just want to see if I think two things. First is that would you be able to compete in the program that you are admitted to, and would you be able to uh, do the coursework without any effort? And the second thing is that are you better from everyone else who is applying to it or not?
Okay. Uh, okay, someone is raising and I'll unmute him and let him ask.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Yes, Vandit.
Yes, hello. I wanted to ask that for different colleges abroad, like the Ivy League, do they require more research-oriented studies in the undergraduate, or we can continue like the coursework it is defined in visa?
So for Ivy League colleges, I would say for most of them, research is important. But having said that, I know a few programs like, let's say, MSCS from Columbia that is not very research oriented, and they focus more on your internships or extracurricular activities and all those things. So again, you just have to choose your program wisely. Uh, like you don't need to do research if you don't like it, and not every college is looking for it. So yeah, like for example, even CMU has a lot of programs. Some of them are research oriented, some of them are industry oriented, some of them are even targeted to a particular field. Let's say there is an MSCV program at CMU, which is just focused towards computer vision. So if you have a lot of projects in computer vision, you have done research in that domain or you have worked in that domain, and you have a lot of projects to showcase that you are already, very well versed with the field, then you are better off applying to the computer vision program and getting an admit from it rather than applying to some other program, which is, let's say, a general machine learning program or computer science program.
So while we are on the
Thank you very
topic on CMU, so while we are on the topic of CMU, there was a question of CMU. Is financial engineering courses in CMU in demand? Like financial
Uh,
engineering courses.
I would not be the best person to comment on it because I had applied to computer science courses and I am well versed only with computer science domain. But I think in general, CMU is famous for finance courses as well. And I have a couple of friends from CMU who have done finance and who have landed very good jobs and are doing well currently. So I guess yeah, definitely they would be in demand and but like I cannot come into the intricacies of it and I don't know the finance field in detail. So yeah.
So I have a question about what you do. So like, what you do right now, how much did you study of it from college and how much did you do on your own? So like, was college curriculum, like college as well as your university, was that curriculum enough for you or like aligned with your field of interest, given what you do right now?
Yeah, so right now my team is building LLMs, and that was not there when I was in undergrad. But right from undergrad, I was doing research in the NLP domain. So the domain was the same. And then when I was in my master's at Georgia Tech, I used to do research with a professor, which was again in the NLP domain and somewhat based on LLMs. So we also had a lot of interesting courses during the masters uh, on LLMs and different aspects of it, like security or deployment or DevOps for LLMs, those kind of things. So I learned a lot during my masters. And having said that, I don't think I learned everything there. So obviously, there are some things you need to figure out after you start your job, and you have to
Yeah.
constantly keep on reading and evolving as the field goes. But I
So
would say masters really help to build that foundation and the basics.
So for all of these interviews that you gave, let's say application to grad universities or Cisco ka, or even ServiceNow that you're doing right now, would you say certifications are important or the skills that you gather? Because a lot of people they run behind these Udemy courses to complete them to get the certificate and post on their LinkedIn account. So are certificate number of certification important or like the of course the skills that you gain without certificate, like on YouTube or free sources like that?
I personally think only skills matter and none of the certificates matter. At least they have not mattered for me. But like having said that, if there is some very good course on Udemy, you are better off doing it and learning the skills. Don't do it for the certificates, but for the skills.
Got it.
I'll unmute another person who has raised his hand. Yes, Neil.
Uh, Yes, so I wanted to ask that while when we are applying for internships and jobs using referrals, so how should we find the right person in a company whom should we apply? And also, many a times while applying, we end up asking wrong people and then they don't revert back.
Uh, So I think when you are asking for a referral, it always helps if it comes from a senior person. The more senior they are, the more weight their referral carries. And ideally, you should also try to get a referral from someone who is working in a team where you can actually get an offer from. For example, if you are applying for, let's say, an app development position, but you get a referral from someone who is working in a completely different field like sales, for example, then the referral won't matter. If it comes from the same team, I think that is much better than getting a referral from a random person on LinkedIn. And I think again for referrals, it's a matter of luck. Like you have to reach out to a lot of folks, and then one of them will agree to give you a referral. Uh, I personally don't have any advice to offer in terms of how to get more people to refer you. But yeah, to answer your question, finding the right person matters more than finding a lot of people from different domains who are ready to give you a referral.
Thank you.
Okay. Another one person has raised his hand. So I will allow him. Yes, Vansh. Vansh, I have allowed you to unmute your mic. You will get the recording. So yes, we'll continue with the questions. One of the questions that I had was, how did you get into Cisco? Like during you got internship in during your masters, right?
Yeah, correct.
So like
So,
you applied through the openings or you just asked for referrals and then you joined it.
uh, so I don't think I asked for a referral in Cisco. It was pretty much just applying through the job portal that they have. And I think like during my master's, I used to work with a professor who is closely associated with Cisco. So they kind of like if they see my resume, they'll know that I'm working with that prof, and that will give me an advantage over other candidates. Since then they can vet out and know that I might have the right skill sets that are needed for the position. So that is how I got the interview. And yeah, I think it also depends on luck. Sometimes some companies will only see resumes from candidates who are given a referral. Sometimes they will just ignore everyone who has a referral and they will just select someone who has just applied generally. So, uh, yeah, you have to be at the right place at the right time, I would say.
So, building on the previous question about securing internships, jobs, whatever, how important do you think networking is? And also to people of first and second year, they'll just get into the world of LinkedIn and communicating online. So, networking and all of that, how did you go about that?
So I think networking is really important. It can help you in multiple ways. And I have even like I know a few friends who have just got jobs by networking on LinkedIn. I've had a friend at Georgia Tech who reached out to 60 managers from Apple and finally ended up getting a job offer from Apple. So you should not disregard the fact, and you should try to network with as many people as possible. Uh, yeah.
Uh, Neer, I have allowed you to disable your mic. You can ask the question.
Hello, am I audible?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I am a first year student, so my question is like, for research work, what are the basic skills you should require to for tech research basically?
So I would say that during your first year, you should explore the domains first, try to do some basic projects, learn skills, and see what you like. And once you have finalized on a domain, you should go in depth into it, try to do some more projects, and try to think about it in a researchy way, as in try to read up some papers from the past and see what has already been done, where the field is going, and then try to come up with ideas on how you can contribute or innovate in the field. Uh, how can you make something better and which is not done by anyone previously? So I think in your first year, you should largely just focus on finding the right domain for yourself. And I feel the best way to do it is by uh, having some projects rather than just doing some courses. You get to learn a lot when you actually implement stuff rather than, having only the bookish knowledge.
Okay, so another doubt that most of us will be having, actually all of us going for masters. So it's like an elephant in the room is that recession, the job market and everything going on. So some people say that you should go and study. This is the best time to go. Some people say get work experience, then come after a few years. So what's your stand on this, given you are in the US and working like that?
So currently the market is bad, but I think it's improving, or at least it has stabilized for now. Like I cannot predict how it will be after 2 years, but I feel that it's going to improve at least from the current situation it is in. But I think like I can share a link of a Unicode senior who had taken a seminar on whether you should have WorkX before masters or you should directly come for a master's. And to summarize it, it really depends on what you want to do in your master's. Do you just want to look for jobs and have a good job after your master's, or do you want to actually learn the skills and do the coursework properly and get something out of your master's in terms of knowledge? So if you come after having a work ex of let's say 3 years, then you already know how the industry works and you know where you want to contribute going ahead. So that gives you a lot of perspective because in your masters you will have coursework where you have an option to select from let's say 50 to 100 courses, and courses are targeting each domain, but ideally you would want to target a particular set of domains, right? So if you have your work ex before coming to masters, you would know which domains you are interested in and where you want to contribute going ahead. So it helps a lot in that perspective. But from the job market perspective, I think uh, it's equally difficult for people with WorkX and without WorkX to get a job. Maybe without WorkX, you would require, like, you would need to think, you would have to put in more efforts, but still, for new grad positions, it's really difficult right now. And even if you have a WorkX of, let's say, 3 years, majority of companies will still consider you for the new grad positions. So if you are trying to just optimize on getting a job after your master's, maybe uh, having a work ex would not be worth.
So you would still be considered as a fresher after your 2 years of masters.
Yeah, like I guess 2 to 3 years before I came, the scenario was completely different and the market was really good. So if you had WorkX in India, they would count it as a 3 year WorkX and then give
Yeah.
you a position which is not a new grad position. But currently, since the market is bad, everyone just gets a new grad position. So,
So would you personally have considered working, or you were determined from the very first that you want to go directly after your graduation?
so I think I had decided that pretty early on, like in my second semester in DJ. And I think one of the factors that influenced the decision was also the jobs at DJ Sangvi. Earlier, not many companies used to come, and it was just 2 to 3 good companies coming to DJ for placements. So I had decided that I'll go for masters right after my bachelor's. And since I was also interested in research, I had the PhD route also open for me, and I was open to pursuing a PhD as well.
Okay, so like currently, like we're on the topic of jobs. I just wanted to ask, like you may have some friends who are working in India and now you are working in US. So like, what is the difference in work culture in both the countries that we have?
I think it varies a lot, but I have seen that the kind of work you get to do in US is much better than the kind of work you would do in India in the same company, in the same team. For example, currently also we have a team which is based off in India, and the kind of projects that they get are not very interesting. Whereas if you are in headquarters in a particular company, then you kind of have the freedom to select what you want, do what you want. Let's say if you have an idea and you go to your manager saying that I think we should pursue this, they are more likely to approve it if you are in the headquarters because they have more resources there. As compared to in India, it would be very difficult to bypass the whole hierarchy and then get your project approved. So, in terms of the kind of work, I think it's much better here. But again, it depends and varies from company to company, and the like it. it could differ largely based on teams as well. Some of the teams might be better in India rather than the US as well. So, but in general, I think the work culture and the kind of work that you do here is far better than what I have seen in India. The kind of exposure you get also matters, right? In India, you would largely get to work with Indians, but here people from different countries would be there in your team, and everyone would come from a very diverse background. So it really it is interesting to see how they think and how they arrive upon the solution, and the path they take. It varies a lot from how we think. So that helps too.
Okay. Hmm. I also wanted to ask, like, students usually do internships in second and third year. So in master's application, do they count as work experience? The internships, do they count as work ex?
So if you are looking at it from a point of view that you will replace your internship with your work ex, then no. But having internships on your resume is definitely important and it would help a lot. They would know that it's an internship if it's for 3 to 6 months, but nevertheless, it would still help. But it would not replace and count as having a permanent work ex. That would, I think that would carry a lot more weight than the internships.
Okay, great. So Jaina ma'am, I'm muting you. You can ask your doubt.
Hello. Uh, Like, since you have done your internship from Cisco, recently I've heard many people which are doing internship in Cisco, they have told me ki they have gone through their hackathon through which they had approached for the internship, and after completing the internship, they had the opportunity of receiving the PPO from their own Cisco company. So, like, is it true nowadays? And if yes, then like, how many hackathons there are in the market which can help in such cases?
So I think this is the Indian Cisco, right? I had interned in Cisco in the US, and here the process was different. Like, we did not have any hackathons, but instead of an hackathon, what they did was they selected a few candidates who they thought might secure an internship, and they invited all of us to a 2-day event where we could talk to all the hiring managers and people from the company. And like during our conversations, the hiring managers used to decide if they would like to interview us or not. So you can either get an interview from one of the teams or multiple teams or none. So I got an interview from two of the teams, and that is how I entered the interview process. As far as I know, like in the US at least, they don't have hackathons from where they hire, and I'm not aware about the hackathons that happens in India. So
Okay, so you had done your Cisco internship in US only.
yeah,
Okay,
during my master's, like after my first year.
so during the undergrad, you had, okay, thank you.
Hi, I do have a question. Like when I'm a master student, so right now I'm focusing on research and stuff. But I spoke to some of my seniors who are now in their colleges and their internship fairs are going on right now. And when they went to the internship fair and they attended the fairs and all, they realized that they were asking for DSA sums and problems and stuff there only, the internship fair. And they're not prepared for that because they also focused only on research. So, like, as a master student, like, should I start focusing on DSA right now, like one problem a day or something, so that I can prepare myself for a research, for this internship fair? Or like, did you like have another way of getting these internships in US?
No, definitely. I think for all the internships which are targeted towards software or machine learning, you would require DSA, and I would highly suggest that you practice some lead code before coming here, because what happens is when you start your masters, you have to adjust to the climate and other things in a completely new country. You have to focus on your coursework as well, and there are a lot of things, so it becomes really difficult to find time for DSA. And since every company would ask for it in the interviews, if you have previous knowledge, then that would really help. Personally, I like when I came, I did not do DSA during my undergrad. So in my first or second month after coming here, I got an interview from Salesforce, and I could not clear the first round because it was a lead code round, and I could not solve the problem. So unless you are good at lead code, I think clearing interviews would be very difficult.
Right, because I know like it takes dedication of like 5 6 months proper to sit and study DSA. So I was wondering like if I should continue studying for masters as well, like doing my research paper right now, or like do a little bit of DSA on the side as well. Because I've
Yeah,
heard like it's quite
I think.
difficult from internship fairs right now in US through colleges.
Yeah, I think even after your applications, they would end in December or sometime in Jan. So you would have a good 6 month gap before you come to the US. You can also focus on DSA during that time and prepare yourself if you find it difficult to juggle between research and DSA right now.
Right, right.
So there
Thank
was
you.
one question. How can we scale our growth working in India through placements to move forward in better job roles at abroad?
Uh, So if you are asking that can I get a job in USA by working in India, then I would say that yes, it's possible, and I have seen people do it, but it's very rare. Uh, so some of the multinational companies allow employees to switch jobs from India to the US directly, and that is the best case possible because then you don't even need to do a master's degree in the US and you can directly get a job. But that is also very difficult. You need to be in the right team. Your team needs to have the budget to send you to the US. Then there has to be a US team which needs more people from India and the particular skill set that you have. So there are many factors behind it, but yeah, it's still possible.
Okay, understood. Okay, I'm just finding a unique question. Some of the questions are already answered. So someone has asked in masters, did you shortlist locations and then shortlisted college, or the location does not matter?
So when I was applying, I did not apply based on locations, and I think that was a mistake. After coming here, I realized that locations are important, particularly if, let's say, you cannot survive in very cold climates, or you cannot survive at a place which is really unsafe. So those factors also matter, and I would advise that you look at the locations too when you shortlist colleges for masters. I made that mistake of not doing it. So yeah.
So also a question I wanted to ask was like, what would be your advice for us? Like we are in fourth year, so many of us would be starting their jobs, and some of us would be going for masters. So any advice for the people who are starting their jobs, like things they should keep in mind after joining?
So I would say that with regards to the job, just try to do your best and uh, don't stop learning. Just try to, work with different teams also. Like just don't do the work that you are assigned to. Try to work with everyone and network. I think networking is really important. Uh, Even more than the work, I would say, because the kind of things that you learn from your seniors are far more valuable than you reading something alone. Like they would speak from experience and what works in the industry, because until now you would only have sort of a bookish knowledge, and you would think that okay, whatever I learned applies in the industry, but in the industry, like most of the things that we learned don't work very well, and they have their own hacks to do things. So learning those hacks is really important, and uh, you can find those out only by networking and talking to your seniors and learning from them.
Got it. Okay, so one more question that we had was, does having a good CP profile help for masters or is it only for jobs and SD roles?
For jobs, it definitely helps. For masters, it depends on how good you are. For example, at Georgia Tech, I know a friend who secured GTA position, which is the teaching assistant position in a graduate algorithms course, by just showing the lead code profile to the professor and saying that, see, I have solved 2000 problems. I'm really good at it. I think I should be a TA for the grad algos course. And he actually got a TA position. So you should be good at how to market yourself.
He just flexed his lead code profile and he got the teaching assistant
Yeah,
position.
yeah.
I think
I'm
might
not
as well
saying that it
start
would
PSA
work
now.
every time, but you have to take your chances.
So would you consider doing an PhD?
Right now, no, because when I was applying for the PhD positions, what I had in mind was I never wanted to go to academia, but I wanted a applied research kind of position in the industry. And fortunately, I got it after my master's, so I'm not thinking of pursuing a PhD anymore.
Okay.
Yeah. Any questions? Okay, hi, yes, I have one more question for not for me, so it's generally for the essays and Ts that they usually ask us like what should they focus on right now? Like college studies are like almost we just get to know about PPTs mainly, but is it important the coursework or we should learn other things? We should focus on other things right now, like web development, be it web development or machine learning, anything like
So I'm not sure how the coursework currently is for you guys, but during our years, it was really bad. Like many of the times, the textbooks were wrong or did not explain the concepts very well. So it was largely what you do outside of the coursework and what you learn and where you learn it from. So I try to optimize on that. And for us, I think the exams were also easy. So if you studied for 2 days before the exam, you can easily get a 9.5 CGPA or a 9 CGPA. So you had a lot of time outside of the coursework to explore different things. And there were really cool clubs apart from the comms department. Like I used to be a part of ARIA. I don't know if it still exists, but yeah, there were a lot of cool clubs back in our time that I joined, and a lot of extracurricular activities. I participated in like hackathons and different things. I used to be a part of a lot of study groups where people discuss papers weekly. I used to present in some of them. Then I used to have some sessions with seniors where they used to teach us. So I think those things help more than the coursework for me.
that. Got it. Also, it is for us who are starting a job. Like system design is like in the trend right now. Like earlier, I did not know that it was not that famous earlier, I think. But recently, system design has just picked up. So, is it really that important right now to learn about system designs, or we should focus on what we're doing right now and jump to system designs later in our career?
So for system designs, I think it is really useful to know. But in terms of getting a job, if you are out of college, I don't think every company will require you to have a good knowledge of how to design a system. But if you were applying for a senior position, then they would have a separate round for especially for system design. And if you are, if I talk about the industry, let's say you started working at some place, then it's really important to know how a system can work and what can you do to make it work efficiently. So having that knowledge is really important because, like when we are in our undergrad or when we are studying or during our internships, we largely try to write code or make projects which are not scalable, like it should just work and we are satisfied with that. But yeah, in the industry, you should also have scalable things and it should not be very brittle. It should not break easily. So system design comes into play there.
Okay, yes, got it. Also, a question has come. Other than ML, what are some other fields where we can publish research papers and can also be considered as good opportunities for masters?
There are many fields actually. You can publish in software as well. People publish very good papers in systems area, in databases. Then you can also publish in, let's say something which is finance, like not even CS. So yeah, I think there's a publishing opportunity in every field, and I would say that in CS it's even more difficult to publish because there are a lot of papers coming out. So finding that novelty is really difficult. But if you try to find a field which you are interested in, and which is also a niche where there are very few people working on, then I think it's easier to find a novelty there.
Okay, great.
Oh, grad algos is another field. People publish a lot uh, in grad algos, and there is some cool research that they do. They try to come up with different algorithms, and that's really interesting too.
Okay, great. Can't find any other questions. So anyone has any questions for Yash right now? And you can even contact him later on his LinkedIn, connect with him on LinkedIn, and you can ask him your doubts. He will reply you and he can help you answer your doubts over there as well. Yes, I have one
Okay,
last question
so
of mine.
uh,
Puch sir.
okay, so I had a question like, given your career, I think I'm very much intrigued, and I like my field of interest is very much aligned with yours. So I just want to ask, like, as a research scientist, like you said, you're interested in applied research, right? So what exactly do you do with LLMs and the entire the generative AI kind thing?
So currently, we are just trying to build a model. Let's say OpenAI has ChatGPT or GPT-4o. So similar to that, ServiceNow ideally wants to have their own LLM, and we are far behind OpenAI in this race. So currently, most of my work is going through the papers, deciding what method seems very intuitive and might work, then implementing the same in our model, like changing some architecture or having a particular training pipeline that might give better results and those things, and then implementing it, seeing the results. If they turn out to be good, which is rarely the case, then we just ship it in the product, or else you just keep on doing research. If you come up with a novel idea, then you publish some papers around it. So currently, at least in the research domain, there is like your manager won't tell you that today you need to do X, Y, Z. You have to decide it on your like by yourself, and you have to read a lot of papers in order to make those decisions. or else you just won't be able to make the right ones. The field might have moved on drastically, even if you, let's say, skip reading papers for 2 weeks. So,
Okay, so given the entire boom of AI that is going on right now, since the advent of ChatGPT back in like let's say December of 22, so a lot of people are confused, like even me. So there's this AI, then ML, and you have to do research. So other than that, like you said, you're interested in applied research. So there's applied AI and all of that. So can you give a brief about the career opportunities in AI if a person is not interested in research particularly?
uh, so I feel that for very researchy positions, you only get it after your PhD. And those research folks largely try to find problems in the industry which they can publish on. So their job is to publish papers. But for applied research guys, what they do is they take the research which has already been published and they implement the same thing, but in the company's architecture or the company's code base and try to see if it is working or not. So in that case, I think you still need to have the kind of skills to understand what research has done and then implement it. So you don't need very detailed researchy skills, but you need strong background and the basics to understand the research and an even stronger background in coding and how can you put that math equation into code. So I think that is the main skill set for applied folks. And currently, like if you see after your masters, uh, like the chances of getting an applied position are much higher than getting a researchy position.
Research
And in the
position.
current market, at least in the US, there are far more jobs on LLMs than on software because in software there might be like lakhs of people competing for a single job, but very few folks have that experience in LLMs, and there are multiple opportunities for it. So there are very few folks who are competing for those LLM jobs. So I would say that it's a little bit easier in the current market, at least in the US, for LLMs and the AI boom.
Okay, so to build on that, I've been going to a lot of job opportunities and like just in general opportunities on LinkedIn. In India, there are jobs that are people who would hire you as a Gen AI specialist or architecture or engineer. What I think is in India, they'll just use you for your skills and they'll use you to make it better for the company. Like, company का ये काम चल रहा था, they'll use your AI skills to automate it and then make it better for the company. So is it the same case over there, or there your skills will be more respected or enhanced while you work for the company as well?
So it depends on the team again. There might be some teams, and I know a few friends who like are unfortunate to be in those teams where the top culture is very toxic, and you would be used. But like if I speak for my team, it's very flexible, and I get to decide what I want to work on. So let's say if I don't have some skills in systems for LLMs, I will just take up a problem from that domain and then learn and implement it. So, and I think I personally like to, implement stuff and only then I can get to know how it works and learn. So I have that freedom to decide what I want to do, and that helps a lot. And in terms of getting to learn from seniors, that like we have a different sub team within our team which is doing only research. So you get to learn a lot from those research folks and you get a different perspective from them, and then you come and implement and you get a different perspective from the folks who are actually implementing it. So
Okay,
that's really great.
got it.
So also there's a question, how good is blockchain market currently?
Again, I'm not the right person to comment on it. I have not really been into blockchain, so uh, I don't think it would be right if I comment on that.
Schools. Yes, so If we don't have any more questions, I guess the questions have been finished. So yes, thank you so much, Jash, for answering all our questions. It was great having you here. I guess it
Just
will help all the fourth years as well as second year and third year people who want to pursue masters. So they may have now gotten a somewhat a roadmap how to pursue masters or what all the other things that are necessary to pursue masters. So yes, thank you so much, Jash. We are grateful to have
Thank you
you
so
here.
much.
thank you for having me. It was nice
Thank you so
talking to
much.
you guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
And yeah, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn if you have any more questions.
Yes, I'll share the LinkedIn of Jash on the group and you can connect with him over there and ask your doubts if you have any. So yes, we
Thank you.
can
Yeah, I guess we can end the
so
meeting
Bye.
yes,
then.
we can end the meeting.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much.
Okay,
Yes,
thank you so much.
Guys, you can leave too. It's okay.
Yes, yes, you all can leave.